Micah Frankel, CageMinds.com. It's Fight Week, Triple A MMA VII, Rockstars, Camel Rock Casino. Today we're being joined by Aaron Perls, undefeated amateur run. He's 1-0 as a pro. He's going to be taking on, at lightweight, Jon Sparks. Thank you for the time, Aaron. It's Fight Week. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
It's going to be your second pro fight. How you feeling heading into this one?
Oh, I'm excited. I'd like to stay active. I had another fight scheduled for earlier this year that ended up falling through. So I just need to put a record together kind of as quickly as I can.
About 29 years old, is that the reason why you're in such a rush, or is it just your style, you want to stay active?
Yeah, it's both. I'm a little older just to be getting into it, but I'd also just like to stay active. Every time I fight, I improve a lot. I'm still at that point where every time I come out, I'm a pretty different fighter. So, the more I can get into the cage, the more I'm going to grow.
Talk about being a different fighter. I've heard several opponents of you call you really a ground guy. Is that your style? Do you fear that's an unfair assessment? What do you think about being assessed as a ground guy?
I've never really thought of myself as a ground guy. I grew up striking. What brought me back into martial arts was striking. You could say that in an MMA fight, I'm going to look for the easiest way to put a win together. So if the opportunity presents itself, and that seems like the best way to get a quick win, that's why I'm going to take it. But I never really thought of myself as a ground guy.
Well, you said taking it to where you can win the easiest. Is that something that you're a game plan kind of person? It's what you work on training? Or is that something you kind of feel out in the first round and assess where you think you might have the advantage?
As an amateur and even at this level as a pro, there's so little footage, so little out there about opponents. It really ends up being more looking at the mistakes I've made in the past, what it looks like in the gym I need to work on, and then feeling it out once I'm out there.
The undefeated amateur run, what fight or what moment sticks out most to you about that time?
Probably the triangle with Shannon. I felt like I was set up as an underdog there. He's a black belt. He's one of the head instructors at another school. So that really stuck out. I had done a kickboxing match with him, so I sort of knew what to expect standing, and I had thought I'd probably want to keep it standing, and the way it unfolded, it was a great moment.
And then moving up into your pro career, it was a hard first round, the initial part of the round against Dorian Dixon. It was a back and forth kind of fight, and then you again pulled off another submission victory. What stuck out at you about that fight?
What I was left with was that I really don't want to have too much of a game plan, because then I feel like something's going wrong when it's not going the way I planned it out. I got in there and got a little bit flustered. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. It wasn't really being shut down. It was just it was a lack of engagement in the way that I thought it would be. And so I got a little frustrated and wasted some energy and some time being frustrated instead of just flowing into what came next.
So from that fight with Dorian, I know you had fought under the King of the Cage banner your whole amateur career, but was there a difference? Was there any butterflies or anything as it was the pro debut for both of you?
There was definitely extra pressure on myself. I don't feel like anybody else was putting extra pressure on me, but it felt like the type of thing where if I was going to be successful, I wanted to start off on the right foot.
So now you've got that win out of the way. What kind of pressure do you feel now fighting at home? Jon's coming up to your backyard to take you on.
I feel like there's definitely not as much pressure. I feel like I had a good amateur run, and that's in the past. I made my pro debut successfully, and that's in the past. And now I want to rack up some fights and some experience. And, you know, it needs to go my way so I can be successful. But at the same time, it's experience at this point.
It being in your backyard, though, have you put any thought into the fanfare, the crowd being on your side? We've seen you fighting down here a little bit. It's kind of a drive. Have you put any thoughts into that?
You know, I really haven't. I kind of zone it all out when I'm there, when I'm thinking about it. And, you know, it's great afterwards to have a bunch of people around. But for the fight itself, it's not really something I think about. I can't tell you if, I mean, I don't really remember the crowds from any of the fights.
Standing across the cage from you this time, it's going to be Jon Sparks. How do you assess his game?
Well, like I said, there's not a ton of footage, there's not a ton of analysis of guys kind of where we are in our career. I've heard he's a striker. He says he likes to strike. You know, he's kind of tall and lanky for the weight class. But I really don't know a whole lot about him.
Well, he kind of sought out this fight. He's friends with Shannon. Had you had any knowledge of that?
No, that was a total surprise to me. I didn't realize there was any kind of personal anything associated with this fight for him. I thought it was just another guy looking to get some experience, and this match got presented to him.
So when did you find out that there was something?
It was your interview with him, and I saw that. That was the first time.
I wondered if that was going to happen. Be like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
So since the last fight, you've had it's been 3 months. What have you really been in the gym concentrating on working on?
You know, it's more putting everything together and making all the elements flow together more than one particular element. You know, it didn't look amazing in my last fight, my striking, but when I'm doing just pure striking, it actually is pretty strong. It's making everything flow together, and that's really what I've spent a lot of time doing. I spent a lot more time in the small gloves, both striking and grappling, working that middle area with a lot of judo and a lot of wrestling, and just connecting the dots.
You said you came from a striking background growing up. What was that you were doing?
Really early on, I was doing Kempo karate. Then I actually got my black belt in Taekwondo. And then as a teenager, I did some Shotokan karate.
What was it that led you said, to getting back into the martial arts, to getting started again? You've had started your amateur run in 2012. What led you to getting back to wanting to compete, to be a martial artist?
I become kind of a health and fitness nut, but I didn't really have a sport to compete in. I played around with the idea of doing maybe some amateur bodybuilding. I did a little bit of powerlifting, but it was kind of boring. I had done some jiu-jitsu with Quinn Mulhern in college, in the college club, and I decided that I'd try getting back to that. I knew that they taught Muay Thai at the school he was working at, and so I came in and started doing Thai boxing.
And then what was the thought process of getting into MMA then, from going back into the gym, getting the Thai boxing going, a little jiu-jitsu? When did you decide you wanted to compete?
Well, that seemed like the one. I knew right away that whatever I was doing, I was going to want to compete. But that seemed like the one avenue, other than boxing, where you could really make at least a semi-career out of it. And it'd be something where you could at least partially support yourself doing it and really dedicate the time to becoming proficient at it.
So with turning pro now, are you feeling you're getting to that point where here in a couple fights you get your name out there, you're on the right track that you wanted to be on?
I think so. I think that's the direction it looks like it's going, and I'd like to take it there.
So, with us talking about the striking and you were working on your transitions, is striking something you're looking to work on somewhat this fight because you said you weren't satisfied with it in your pro debut against Dorian?
I would like to show that I do it and I do it well. To finish the fight one particular way or another, or keep the fight in one particular area or another, that doesn't really matter to me.
Well, not to keep it there, but would you say you're coming out with a certain wanting to prove yourself or to prove a certain point with your skills? I'm not saying you're going to keep it there the whole time, but just to prove that you have that weapon kind of in there while mixing it up?
No, I guess I don't. I want to win the fight as quickly as possible. I want to make it another win and get on to the next one. In some ways it'd be great to show everybody that I really can strike at a high level. On the other hand, then it's just more video of me striking for future opponents to look at. And right now, if they think that all I can do is grapple and submit people, then that's what they'll be preparing for, and that's great. So there's pluses and minuses both ways.
Hopefully not getting injured. Sounds like you have a plan. How many times this year does that plan include fighting? What are you looking to try to get done the next 6 months, half of the year?
I'd probably like to fight 2 more times. I think I'll fight in the fall and then do something else in the winter. Whether that actually happens before the new year or not doesn't matter quite as much. But, fight every 3 months or so.
So about 3 months would keep you happy, and you would keep that climbing up the ladder as you would feel that's the pace you wanted to go at?
Yeah, I think that's enough time to take a little break and then really improve on some skills before sort of hopping back into the preparing for a particular fight part of the camp.
Well, this is a little bit longer than that, the 4 months. Do you feel that it's going to be one of those things where we're going to see a different fighter, or with you said working on those transitions, maybe just a cleaner, smoother fighter?
I think you'll see a cleaner, smoother fighter, a more relaxed fighter. I think there will, if the setup's there for some of the new tricks I've been working on, you might see a little bit more of that. But I think it'll definitely be the mental game, and the emotional aspect will be a big part of what's changed.
The mental aspect, how have you envisioned winning this fight?
I've envisioned it about 100 different ways, and they all look really good. I envision winning it quickly and decisively with a finish, either late in the first round or early in the second round.
I gotta thank you for the time. It was great getting to talk to you, and I know there's a lot of people that you need to thank, you've been working with, whatnot. Your time to thank them.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody at the Santa Fe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. That's my home. Thank everybody at Santa Fe Muay Thai. That's kind of become my second home. Albuquerque Kickboxing and the Perls. Those guys have been great. And gotten some great sparring partners down in Albuquerque now, and it's really brought my game up.
Thank you for the time, and we'll see you this weekend. We're 4 days away. Rockstars, Triple A MMA, Camel Rock Casino. We'll see everybody there.